Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for The Amazing Spider-Man issue 37. Yeah, nice looking cover there, got Peter and Wreck-Rap going, and we've got Gang War is coming. We get a little bit of information on that front in this issue, but it's mainly dealing with the Repossessor Demon and Wreck-Rap's adventures. And granted, Wreck-Rap is very fucking annoying in this. So I could understand people being like, that they would be annoyed and not liking this one. So I get that. I do like that Peter finds him just as annoying, so that kind of saved it for me. But I also liked how they kind of did a different kind of art style. Still the same kind of artists that were gotten before, but doing it kind of old school kind of Spider-Man style, which we'll see in here. So we start off and we actually see that the Repossessor is in like Pete's apartment, and Randy's like, "Hey Peter, like, can you help me? Like, why aren't you returning my calls? I need to get in touch with your friend, the wall crawler." And we see the dude being like, "Collateral." It's like, what are you talking about? And that Randy's trying to get rid of Fisk's Law and needs some superhero backup. He's harder to get a hold of than you are, as he's like, "Peter," and we see the Repossessor pretty much go 8 mode, and then we see that that's the last we see of Randy at the moment. We then shift to this great kind of story time by Wreck-Rap, and this definitely has touches of kind of Deadpool, though Deadpool definitely has, it's not like a complete copy of Deadpool. If somebody's like, it definitely apes Deadpool kind of stuff, I could kind of understand that. He doesn't go complete fourth wall breaking though, so there's that kind of difference. But he's like, Wreck-Rap presents a Wreck-Rapscallion production of Wreck-Rap Storytime Adventure, starring me in a tale I call The Mystery of That Time I Got in a Fight with Kraken the Hunter a few weeks ago, and something weird happened. It's just like, oh god. I do like the interesting use of color, of how it's different than kind of usual, almost kind of like more bright kind of coloring. And we see that Kraken's like, "I'm going to marry you alive," and Wreck-Rap's like, "I think you mean bury? Bury you alive? I'm not a sadist. You're not the future Mr. Rap either. Because this net was made to contain the strength of 10 tunas, but I have the strength of a man-sized spider, and guess what? What? That's like 13 tunas," as he like gets out and pretty much kicks him down before the Repossessor is like, "Ah, shit." And it's funny, he's like going through and narrating all this stuff like, "I saw something strange, worth repeating. So here I go. I'll repeat it now." Small man approached. His face was expressionless as he muttered something about his queen bringing Kraken home. Then he turned into a monster, a giant mouth really, and gobbled Kraken up. Who was he? What did he want? Wait, stop, hold on. As we then shift back to our normal everyday programming, while Wreck-Rap is pretty much writing stuff with his feet. Well, writing and drawing stuff, as we see in this panel. Peter's like, "This is your big mystery? The case you're trying to crack? I told you, that thing was sent by Madeline Pryor to collect you limbo demons. But you knew that, didn't you? You played dumb when he came for Dr. Octoball because you didn't want to go home. Elementary, my dear Pete Man. I knew when I told you the whole story you'd agree that there are bigger things afoot. Like what? For the answer, tune in to the next episode of Wreck-Rap Story Adventures. This is not story time. You're supposed to be telling me why you can't go back to Limbo. I guess I could give you a little sneak peek just for you, Parker Pete Man, as he's giving him an okay, and then we switch back to the kind of cool old school kind of coloring and everything. My highly tuned web instincts told me something odd had just happened. The demon blob thing that had just eaten Kraken the Hunter told me that as well. Got it. Moving on. He gave chase. Let's see. Found him into like the people boxes at apartment building. Bing-a-ling-a-ding-do. Bing-a-ling-a-dingo. Oh god. And he's like licking buildings and stuff. I don't have any money. You can't be here. I heard her struggle. Then heavy footsteps plodding downstairs. He turned back into a little guy, but he wasn't going to shake this little lamb's tail. I tracked him to a triangle above a people box. The attic in Queens, bing a bing ba ding, and buckle your tummy strap, big believer, because the next thing I knew, he disappeared in a flash of light. He was gone along a ding dong. Please stop doing that. I feel for you, Pete. This is painful. It's like, oh my god. I wouldn't have given it another thought. That's alarming. If the same thing hadn't happened when I fought Gorpion a week later, I followed into another people box. There was another commotion and another trip to Queens, another flash of light, and the same thing happened the next week when I fought Triceratops. Excuse me. As we then see that we are in Norman's business. And I love Norman's like, what in the name of Almighty God have you brought into my place of business? Norman, I'm sorry. Do you know Recrat? Squeeze to meet you. He says things like that. And then he tries to pretty much get Norman in on it. He's like, stop touching me, Peter. You may not have noticed the heavy toll of these silly adventures of yours have cost my company, but ignorance is a luxury I can't afford. I have 387 employees aside from you. It's my responsibility to run a profitable enterprise so they can support themselves. If you aren't here on Oscorp business, I kindly ask you to leave, which is a weird kind of way for Norman to take tact-wise, and hopefully Pete keeps that in his head, because normally granted, I think he's had a better kind of balance. This is more kind of colder Osborn mode, but we'll have to see how that kind of works out. And Recrat's like, is he in or out? But the look on Pete's face is like, that's kind of odd. So we shift over to Limbo first, as the Repossessor's back, and Madeline's like, you're late. We haven't been dallying, have we? No, my queen, only finishing my work. Not quite. I expected you to have taken Recrat by now. How long must I wait? Not long. He's made a friend. I always find them through a friend. I see. Just remember that this friend and your target are two different people. Do not confuse the two. As she then leaves him to his work. It's like, interesting. So we go on to an interlude in Long Island City, and we get these people being like, look at us forced out of Manhattan. We built New York, not those freaks you hang out with. We're the true Maggia, not them. We've given up all the territory we planned to give. Wow, yous all is real tough. In this room, at least, I gotta sit down with real killers, super freaks, mystical beings, frickin' vampires. Trust me, you want to stay in your lane. How can we can only do that if you keep the Manhattan bosses calm and happy. But rumor is you're making moves that put all that at risk. And if things blow up, no one's going to be there to help you. The hell does that mean? It means you off to Count Nefaria's daughter, and no one believes you got his permission. You're right. As we see that the Hammerhead talking, and then we get the Count popping in, and that's why no one will believe I ordered Madame Mask's assassination. Only a monster would sacrifice his own daughter. No one will believe we are behind the stabilization of our crime network. The bosses will only look to our trusted lieutenant to provide a costly gang war. If the crime lords of New York City wish to survive, they will bow to the Maggia once again. As we get to the end of the interlude, and a creepy looking face. And it's like, I didn't really know this much about this dude. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Even though he's got pretty much a Doctor Strange looking kind of look. Even though I know it's not Doctor Strange. It's just like, okay, he's got similar kind of hairstyle, facial hair. His outfit's kind of crazy as well. But, of course, we know Doctor Strange. So we shift back over, and we see that Pete is spideying up. Let's see here. And Recrat is asking if he wants to disguise to tackle this mystery together. And Pete is just not having it. Recrat, nothing about your story suggests a mystery of any kind. But what about the attic? The flashing lights? This repo demon is doing its job, and you're trying to get in the way. Because you would rather cause trouble and tear up the city than face the facts. The only way for you to help is to go home. And then we see that he starts crying. And then the Repossessor's like, no need to cry. It'll all be over soon. Poopers! And then we see that Pete gets back to his apartment and sees that things are different. He's like, he had to change 5 blocks away. Recrat and the Repo Demon having it out on the roof. He couldn't afford to draw any more eyes to his apartment. And he didn't leave any of this stuff here or his door like that. In that the repo always visited a people box after making a collection. I assume he was collecting more demons, but what if and then he sees Randy's phone, and we get a really good, I really love this page, just really hits classic Spidey, and I just love the art for it. Just seeing him web swinging like that. Randy's phone. Rugrap thought Repo was doing something extracurricular, taking things he shouldn't be, taking them to an attic in Queens. Randy, if Rugrap was right, Randy should be, hold on buddy, I'm coming. It's like, yeah, Pete. Then we see that Rugrap is back in limbo, screaming on the way down. Gork, gonk, gook. What a trip. How large can one demon's esophagus be? And look at this, I'm covered in ectodigestional goo. Must be a day that ends in Y. Don't fret, Rugrap. He was bound to get you eventually. Welcome to the home of the damned. Limbo's limbo. You're never getting out of here, as we see the rest of the 6 there. It's like, that's not good. We shift over to Queens. Rugrap knew there was something about this attic. Something about it drew Repo here. Time to find out what. Randy! Randy! As we hear creak. I was hoping you would come. I'm going to ask this calmly, but I'm only going to do it once. Where is Randy Robertson? And I love that Spidey look like he is determined. He is going to save his friend. No, the question is, what is Randy Robertson? Excuse me? He is your collateral. Sniff, sniff. Peter, you owe me a great debt. And it's like, so he evidently collects other people as collateral who are connected to his targets. And that evidently Peter owes the Repo demon a great debt. What does that have to do with debts? Everything, Peter. Now you pay. Pay! No! As we then see... Wait. There now. We're even. As we see that Pete gets swallowed and we see his hand sticking out. And it's like, ah, shit! How is this going to be going? As we see then the fan page and talking about how Peter has now been eaten. And then a nice kind of cover. So, I do like that... at least in Rugrap's mind, that there is some kind of mystery here, and I just really felt Peter here as he's like, Rugrap, there's nothing really going on. He is trying to collect you guys. And the thing is, I do like that there's no weird kind of convoluted mystery going on, but that the Repo is doing something of collecting collateral to make sure that he's able to acquire his targets, and that evidently he's got some kind of connection with Peter. Could it be Ben? Could it be someone else linked to Limbo? We'll have to kind of see on that. I'm thinking Ben, but I don't know what's going on with Ben in other kind of comics at the moment, so I could be completely off base. I did like that we got a little bit more on the Magia front. I do like the little interludes leading up to the gang war. It doesn't take up much of the issue, but it still keeps us in the loop of what happened at the end of the wedding and keeping us going forward on that story front while also giving us other stories as well. That's a very hard thing to accomplish, and I gotta give it to him. They're still feeding us through. We're seeing the inner politics of the Magia and their whole kind of trying to take back control of New York City, which that should be interesting to see what goes on with gang war there. But I do like what they were able to accomplish here with Rugrap. They made him annoying as shit, so that way we can be like, Peter, I completely feel for you. And there's some goodness in Rugrap, but good God, he is annoying as fucking shit. So other people, I could understand if you're like, I don't want to deal with this arc. And if you decide not to do that, I completely get that. I like seeing Peter having to try and deal with this crazy kind of situation. I love the artwork. But if you're like, I don't care about this, I think you would be just fine to skip these until it gets to the conclusion and gets to gang war if you're more interested in gang war or other kind of arcs going forward. But I'm interested to see how the Repo Demon is connected to Peter, what kind of goes on, what Madeline Pryor is going to be doing, because she gave specific kind of orders to this Repo Demon, and now they've kind of gone outside of their bounds. So her trying to deal with this and having to be like, oh god, I gotta save Spider-Man because of weird fucking shit going on. It's interesting to see the kind of relationship that Peter and Madeline Pryor have with all this stuff going on in New York. So we'll see how this goes in the next issue. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.